Hello, everyone, and welcome to my second post. You can't tell, but that's two fingers. My second post in my blog, La Guapa Negra. And so the first post was simply an introduction, you getting to know me. And now we're going to start talking about some issues I'm facing here in Buyas. Number one, as you can tell, I'm pretty bundled up. I have on a headband and thick mittens, a coat, jacket underneath. Then under the jacket, a turtleneck. I haven't worn a turtleneck since I was maybe 3 because they're not fashionable, you know. I have some regular pants on, a second pair of pants, like some long johns under that. Guys, it's a little struggle. But I'm wearing it intentionally because today we're going to talk about things to not expect when you're traveling abroad. Number one on my list, this is not like the number one thing to not expect, but for me it's been like the number one most apparent here in Spain, in Buyas particularly. So number one, central heating and air systems. Guys, I don't know if I even ever realized how precious those things are. I miss them. Let me explain. Here in Buyas, I can't speak for all of Spain, but I'm assuming that's the culture. I can speak for this town here in Spain. Central and heating air systems don't really exist. And if there is a central heating system, it's different than what we know back home, you know, in America or United States. I always have to correct myself because there's North and South America. In the United States, the U.S., you know, we have the great heating system where you go to a wall and you turn a little knob and ta-da, it's hot. Or in the summer, ta-da, it's cold. Not here. Not in Buyas. And probably not in Spain, you know, because every country does their own thing. But here, the only kind of system I have seen that's throughout a place is a heating system where there are literal heaters on the wall. Like, you know, welded on the wall or however they connect them. And you go and turn the knob and it'll generate a little heat maybe 2 feet out. And so there may be the heaters on the wall in every room of a house or the school I work at. That's what they do. So there may be those heaters, and then that's how rooms are able to get heat. But there's not a system like where there are vents and there's a lot of heat pressure, because even at school, the students still, they wear turtlenecks, they have on at least a thin jacket like this in the classroom, in addition to their long sleeve shirts, and they wear scarves in the class. So even though that is a system of heat, it's not, I want to say it's not that great, but that's a little rude. But it's definitely not what I'm used to. It's not as much heat as I like. Then in the homes, there are those heating systems also, but a lot of homes I have seen or been in have just portable heaters, and they have different kinds. They have a portable electric heater. You plug into the wall, of course, and there's heat. They have a portable gas heater where it's large, and it rolls, and they put a gas tank in the back, and then you have that. So to me, that gives you more heat. Then they have something I've never seen, which is like a heated table, and I'll put a picture up of that, where it's a table with large cloth over it. Underneath the table is a heater, so you put the cloth on your lap, and so the heat, pretty much this is something you use when you're on a sofa. And it's great. In the schools they have them, in our teacher's lounge, and in one of the student practice rooms they have them. So that's great, but you know, it's not going to generate heat everywhere. It's just when you're sitting down. So number one, do not expect that everywhere you go you're gonna have some great heat and great air. Whew, this cool weather's not working. But let me say this before I go to my next point. It could also be a problem with me. Everyone is different. Every person can take more cold weather than others. 2 things. Sorry, you really can't see, but this is literally 2 fingers. 2 things. Number one, Latasha loves heat. Even when I'm in the U.S. in the winter, people will come by home and will say, it is blazing. Why? You know, and I'm like, this feels good. So it could be me. I'm easy to get cold. Number two, that was number one. So number two of that, these 2 points. I'm from the South. Yes, we get cold weather. Yes, we get a little snow, but it's not for long. You know, we don't get severe, outrageous numbers of low temperatures and our low temperatures. So if I was from Chicago, New York, Minnesota, somewhere where, you know, it's cold and they're used to it, I may not even be complaining. But guys, even though I'm just putting this on for this post, I do look like this typically in the house. I do not, when I come home, I don't take my clothes off right away. I come in, whatever I wore that day, I leave it on, take off my coat, put on a thick, well, it's not that thick, but I put on a house coat, extra pair of socks, and some thick house shoes. I'm not playing. It's not like I can just come home and be free. Because even though I have a little heater, I have a small electric heater. It doesn't do a lot for me. I have to take it room to room. It's not like it's just that great, but I'm adjusting. I'm not going to buy a second heater. I'm only here for 4 more months. So that was number one. Number two, appliances. For example, dryers and washers. These are the specific appliances I'm going to discuss. Dryer. I already learned this in Costa Rica, but I guess I didn't know it was as popular as it is to not have dryers. And that's fine. It's not a biggie, but I'm just used to a dryer. So if you come specifically to Spain, I'm going to speak for Spain now. Don't expect a dryer. Get ready to learn what grandma and grandpa were doing when they were young and hanging up clothes with clothespins outside. That's the experience you'll get. I do like putting my clothes outside. It seems like they are sometimes a little more fresh. But then on the same side, depending on where I hang them or what's going on outside, sometimes they kind of stink from the atmosphere. Also, just because you hung your clothes up and it was wash day in your life, doesn't mean the rain is going to weigh on you. So there have been 1 or 2 cases where I hang up my clothes and it's looking good, la 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 la, weather's nice. Then I may leave and then it rains. So I'm gone while I know my clothes are getting soaked, which may take an extra 2 days to dry. So be watchful and mindful of that too. Now fortunately, thank God, here, and I'm sure everywhere, but here they also have the alternative of a clothes rack you can buy at the local store. Here I bought it in Mercachina. Buy it there and hang your clothes up inside. Now as far as washers go, don't expect them to be the same size as in the US. In my home, I don't know everyone's home, but I'm accustomed, and even in college, I'm accustomed to the washer that's a full-size bin, and you can choose if you want a small, medium, or large load. Here, it's 1 load for everyone, small. So I have to do more loads of clothes. I can get, if we're thinking about pants, of course, small things like undergarments and towels, so I can get a lot of those in. But if I'm thinking like big clothes, I can get 10, like 5 pair of pants and 5 shirts in a load. So to me, that's pretty small. Probably 3 or 4 of each. But anyways, it's much smaller, and you can't do anything about that. So, but deal with it. All right, so number 3 on my list of what to not expect abroad. And I'm not saying like you may not find it, but don't have the expectation so high. Be prepared to live without it or do without it. The food. And I'll probably do a separate post about this. I cook. I cooked in the U.S. I love to cook. I'm not a pro, but I've definitely improved, and I just love to cook. It's very fun. But you know what I learned? It's not fun when your food doesn't come out right. And then your self-esteem is a little low because you think, oh, I can't cook. But yes, I can. But something about the food here or the ingredients here, I don't know. But I'll cook some of the same dishes I cooked at home or something that's very similar. And it won't taste right. And it'll make me second guess myself, like, is something wrong with me? Now, I have talked to another language assistant, and she mentioned she found the same issue, but it just did not taste the same, and I don't think it's me. I guess I just have to learn how to cook with the ingredients they do have and the tastes that those ingredients bring. And when I say ingredients, I mostly mean the spices, because they have all the other vegetables that I'm used to. Garlic, onions, the basics. But the seasonings, I don't know. They're just not getting it for me. Also, another example of this is cookies. I make cookies with a coworker of mine who lives here, and those cookies, we baked maybe 2 batches, maybe even 3, and they just were not working. I mean, she's cooked cookies 1,000 times before. It wasn't like this was new. So we just feel like it's something about the stuff here. Not that it's wrong or bad. It's probably better, to be honest, but it's definitely different. And then, in addition to food, the second point I'm gonna make about food is some things just taste different. For example, the chips here are not like the chips at home. And yes, they have some of the same brands. They have Doritos, they have Pringles, they have Lay's. The Pringles taste the same. Doritos and, Lay's, you can't mess Lay's up. But Doritos and Cheetos here, don't think it's gonna taste like it is in the U.S. And it amazes me because it's like, well, how can you mess this up? I won't say mess it up, but how can it taste different? And of course, if you read the back, they do use different things, different ingredients. So no, they do not taste. To me, they aren't good. The Lay's and Pringles are pretty good here, but the other two, no. Then olives. I love olives in the U.S., but here they're just so strong, and I just can't take it. So some of the foods that you know and love that you find abroad, same company, look like the same thing, still may taste different. Number 4, don't expect people to be nice to you. And that's anywhere. But I know for me, I've sometimes think, I'm a little girl abroad and people will understand because I may not understand something. Or they'll have patience with me. Not all the time. And that's not to scare anyone off. But because that's anywhere. People don't have patience with you in the U.S. But I'm saying this so that people come ready to be independent. If you've never been independent before, some independence needs to kick in when you go abroad. And if people are nice to you, thank God for them. But just don't expect it so that you're hopeless, so that you can't make it through the airport by yourself, so that you can't call a taxi and get to the hotel by yourself. Be ready to be independent. Don't think everyone's going to be nice to you. I've had great experiences here with people in Buyas, Murcia, Spain, wherever I've been. They've been very nice. Once you get past the staring, they'll still talk, they'll still help me. My only experience I ran into where someone wasn't nice to me was in Costa Rica. I was ordering some frozen yogurt or something, and the worker was just pretty rude for the most part. And I had an issue with understanding some things, and she was pretty rude. But I've had great experiences, but my thing is, don't come expecting people to be nice, because there are definitely cases where they won't be. Number 5, do not expect apartments to be the same, or to finding an apartment to be the same. I'll start with the cost. I've never bought an apartment before. I lived in an apartment in college, but that was on campus, so it was through housing or residence life. But so this is my first apartment buying experience in my life, and it happens to be out of the country. My point is, if you're accustomed to an apartment setup where everything's included, it's probably not going to happen, at least not here in Spain. Not in Buyas. I pay for my gas and electricity separate. Now, I do know people who have to pay for like cable separately or internet. Like, I get that. And I got cable. I have to pay for internet too here. But I got cable, came with it. But I have to pay for electricity and gas separately. Now, if that's normal, excuse me, I'm just not used to that. Also, finding an apartment is different. There are real estate agents, even here in Buyas. There are real estate agents everywhere. So you can find a place, but it's not like they have apartment complexes. Now, I live in an apartment building, but there are complexes like the Grove or Whispering Oaks. So, it's not like it's a place where everybody goes. You have to really search on your own for a place. Everyone here and their mom owns rental property. I found the place I live in through my coworker. I went to work one day, and during the teacher's break, I said, I'm looking for a place. And 3 people said, my mom owns something. You know, everybody owns property here, which is great. So it wasn't really hard to find. I'm in a smaller place, maybe more difficult in a larger place. I don't know. Also, this is a positive thing as far as the differences in apartments. Here, it's really common that everything's already furnished. And like I said, I've never bought an apartment before, but I don't think that's really, really common. From my experience in the U.S., it hasn't been. From like friends seeing them move, they have to buy their own from what I've seen. But here, I guess I can show you all. Everything's included. I didn't bring in any of this. Oh, I'm going to have to hurry up because it's going to die. But anyway, the television, the whatever that's, the shelves, the everything. This couch, that couch, excuse the jump, the table, everything's literally included. In the kitchen, plates, silverware. Now, some people may be fishy about that because, you know, it's been used, but you do the same thing in the restaurant. Everything is included, so that's been great. I may have to do another video, guys, because this is gonna die. My camera's gonna die. I'm still learning about how to vlog. Let's cut it at that. Let's cut it there in number 5, I think, and I'll do a part 2 later. So thanks for listening thus far.